Hello, and welcome to my Let's Play of Euro Truck Simulator 2, of all games I could possibly pick. But I wanted to, well, first of all, I kind of enjoy playing this as a bit of a relaxation thing, and secondly, I just kind of wanted to do something a bit podcasty, something where I'm not having to really talk about the game as much, and I can just talk about whatever the heck I feel like. Originally, I wanted to do Thief, but that game is so dang old that it couldn't even record on Fraps, which is really, really disappointing. So yeah, I thought I'd just play Euro Truck Simulator. This will be interesting because I have no idea if I can kind of balance out driving a truck whilst driving a truck, talking whilst driving a truck. See, I did it there. I really love Euro Truck Simulator, and I love it unironically. That's the thing, because it's just such a relaxing game to play. I remember when the game came out, I kind of laughed at it. I just thought it was the idea of playing a game where you're driving a virtual truck along a virtual Europe was the funniest thing I'd ever even heard of, but every time I looked at the gameplay of it, I just felt so mesmerized and relaxed. So I thought, yeah, I kept like, when I bought it, I was saying, oh, this is an ironic purchase. I'm not actually playing the game. I'm just, wait until I tell everyone about Euro Truck Simulator, kind of just sneering at it, which is a really dumb idea of me because it's actually really, really fun. When I started playing it, I was, really relaxed. So yeah, we are doing a delivery to let's look at the world map. We're going from Cambridge to Grimsby. This will be fun. So yeah, I was recently in the UK for a study trip for university. I did a Shakespeare subject called Shakespeare at the Globe, where we went to London and watched Shakespeare plays. Basically, it was a fun subject. It was not a very informative subject. It was really just pay lots of money, or actually it goes on my university debt, so I don't actually have to pay it straight away. So that was kind of a benefit of doing this subject. It kind of allowed me to kind of get a loan to go to London and watch Shakespeare plays, and I don't have to pay it for years. So that was kind of neat. But in terms of actually informative content from the subject, it was very much learn it yourself. We were just kind of plopped in London. It was just like, yeah, good luck, just do everything yourself. There were no like formal classes or anything, so it was kind of disappointing from that point of view. But I actually really loved England, and I really loved London, and it's the kind of place that I'd love to live one day. It's, the countryside is very beautiful. It kind of does look like this to a degree, but not really. Unfortunately, one complaint about Eurotruck is that everything is scaled down. So like, you kind of look out and it's like, yeah, I recognize this kind of place, but it's actually just really condensed into a very small version of what it might look like. And by that I mean, like, if you look out there, normally you'd see this really big open field, but instead here it's just really, really tiny. So that's kind of disappointing. I really loved London though, because one thing I really loved about London is it's very easy to get around. It doesn't take long to get from point A to point B. If you want to go anywhere, there's probably going to be a bus that will take you there in less than... Let's do it. Oh, fuck. See, I can't drive and talk. There's a bus that will get you there, like, pretty quickly. So that was fun. And I also really love Tesco sandwiches. Tesco sandwiches are brilliant. Like, the idea that you can buy a sandwich, a really tasty sandwich that fills you up for only, €2, sometimes €1, for a nice egg and cress. That was amazing. I couldn't believe that Tesco... That's such a bargain, because like here in Australia, if you want the same kind of sandwich, you would have to pay like $5 Australian, which is really, really expensive. Whereas in like, if you pay £1, £1 for a Tesco sandwich, that's a bargain. That's $2 for a sandwich. And so like whenever I was hungry and needed lunch, I'd just go to Tesco and the sandwiches had me covered. So if you are from England and are watching this, don't take your Tesco sandwiches for granted. It is the most brilliant thing in the world to buy a sandwich for £1. I'm jealous. Please let me live there one day. So yeah, I really loved London. The Shakespeare plays I saw were more or less okay. I liked the Globe, I guess, is more to the point. I liked the fact that you could watch it on a stage that's very highly interactive with the audience. It's kind of like very much like when I watched it, I'd go straight up to the front of the stage, but no one goes to the side of the stage. Everyone tries to like kind of look at the front of the stage. Is like really boring in a way. Like the front is, I mean, obviously it's designed to be looked at the front, but when you go to the sides, I was like leaning on the stage. I was like, the actors would be on stage and my hands were like on the same stage, and it was really fun to sort of be doing that. So the plays we saw, Much Ado About Nothing, King Lear. Then we went to Stratford upon Avon, which is like the most beautiful, picturesque English place I've ever seen, and that was really, really nice to see. You know, I used to go for walks around in the woods. What? No. Oh, it just... Oh, okay, I just got a speeding fine, and I thought it was because it said the speed had changed to 60. So, damn. That's like €100, I think. That's like several Tesco sandwiches that I just lost there. Anyway, I'll see it changed to 60. I'm really annoyed. Oh, that's a nice castle over there. I used to go for a few walks in the kind of fieldy, woodsy areas of Stratford upon Avon, and it was really, really pretty. I'm really jealous of just anyone who lives in Europe, because it's just like everywhere is very beautiful, and you know, you've got like very historical towns. I really love history, and I did a subject on medieval history this last semester, and you know, it's just like everywhere that kind of talk about these German places, and you search them up on Google, these very, very well preserved historical towns in Germany, and it just looks so damn pretty. I've been to Paris before, and you just go to these places, just a normal, you know, I'd go to a grocery store in Paris, and you'd look outside and it looks like something out of a Renaissance painting, and it's just, why does Europe have to be so picturesque? Because I live in Adelaide, Australia, and it's an alright place. It's kind of got this neat industrial vibe in a lot of places, and like the actual city itself can kind of have some really nice areas, but there's like, the problem with here, and I guess the USA is the same, is there's big urban sprawl. Places are just so spanned upwards, you know. To get to the grocery store from my place, it's like a 15-minute walk. Short drive if you drive, but I don't drive, so that's a problem. But you know, it's just not very picturesque. It's not very beautiful. Although if you go to the countryside of Australia, I probably take that for granted, because when people go to Australia, they don't really go to the cities. They go outside of the cities, and I have to say, I really love what you can kind of see outside of the cities in Australia. So that's neat. One place I'd really love to visit in Europe is Bruges. Bruges, you know, everyone knows it from the movie In Bruges, and yeah, that's why I want to go. I saw that movie In Bruges, and it looks really pretty, but I saw it when I was like, I saw it it was just randomly on TV when I was 11 years old, and I fell in love with it, so it's kind of like got this childhood nostalgia to me, you know. It's just kind of like, I saw it as a kid, and I've ever since wanted to go to Bruges, and I'd like to go one day. I was almost close to going when I was in England, but I was kind of advised against it by my friends, because it's like, and I kind of agree with it, you know, when you go to Europe, there's this big idea, especially in Australia, when everyone goes to Europe, they have to go to every single country. So they book these tours, these really, you know, cheap for what they are tours, but still kind of expensive tours, where you go to like 20 countries or something, or like 10 countries in a span of like a couple of weeks. And you know, you'd go I always see people on their social media, they'll kind of oops, I forgot to put my indicator on, but let's pretend that never happened. But anyway, you'd see these people go to these places, and you watch their social media, and they'll be like, oh, in Germany today, and then it's like the next day they're in France, and then the next day they're in Italy, and it's just like you've only spent like a day or two in these really, really nice countries, and you've only just gone and seen like the really boring tourist places. And to one degree, if you're someone who works, doesn't have much time in their life or hands, then those tours are pretty good in terms of just being able to cover a lot of places. But it also kind of defeats the purpose of travel for me. When you go to a place, it's really fun to discover, you know, because I stayed in London for a week, and then I stayed in Stratford-upon-Avon for a week. And what I loved about it was taking the time to discover, you know, like, you really need time to kind of like, okay, you go to one place and you discover more places, and like, it's fun to kind of think, okay, I'm familiar with this place now. And then you go to these, I think one of the best days I had in London was the third day I was there, and I went to Oxford. I was just gonna go to, what's the park? The really big park, in London. I can't remember the name of it. Hyde Park, that's the name. I wanted to go to Hyde Park. Oh god, which side of the road do they drive on in England? I think this side. We'll find out the hard way when I get a speeding fine. And on the way, I ran into one of my friends, just by pure luck. So I went to the Big Ben area, and then I went down the street to that really nice big place that you see on a lot of TV shows, Trafalgar Square. And I ran into one of my friends outside a cafe just by pure luck, and he wanted to go to the British Film Institute, the BFI, and he said, well, want to come with me? And I thought, you know, I might as well, you know, because I'm never going to go there by myself. I didn't think at that point. So we went, oops, crashed. So we went to we kind of walked across, I can't remember the name of the bridge, but a nice big bridge, to the BFI. I got to see more sights, and so it was this big detour from my original planned route, which was to kind of walk all around Hyde Park and go around all the touristy areas, see, you know, the castle that the Queen lives in. I've forgotten the names of these places. And, you know, I was going to just do all these, try and bucket list off all these touristy places in one day. But instead I went to the BFI with my friend. I bought a nice book. The BFI was nice. It was a nice view as well of the Thames. And so, yeah, it was... by then, my detour had been completely thrown off. And then he needed to go see a play, and so we went for a walk across a couple of streets. I don't remember the names of, but we kind of had to walk to the place where all the theatres are in London. I forgot the name of the place where all the theatres are. But, you know, like where you see Broadway shows and all that. And we went there, and he went to go see American in Paris, and I left him there, and I was completely on my own. And at that point I realized, holy shit, my phone is almost out of battery. And so I couldn't use my phone, I couldn't use my map, because that would drain my battery, and I needed to figure out, okay, how do I charge my phone? So, because it was only like 20% battery, I needed to get something like really fast. So I just kind of wandered around and used street signs, because I knew Oxford. I only heard of it from a friend that Oxford Street is a place where there's a lot of shopping malls. So, you know, I used street signs to navigate myself, and thankfully, because it's a touristy place, there is like a map on every street corner, and I navigated myself to Oxford Street, and I just somehow... The problem is, I thought I was on Oxford Street. It was like, okay, this is a lot of shops here, and so for this entire time I thought I was on this Oxford Street. Oxford Street was one street over, and I should mention that, when I navigated, like, Oxford Street is only just like 2 streets away from the place my friend dropped me off at, so that kind of helped as well. But still, I didn't know that at the time, so that was what kind of made it more fun. So I navigated myself to what I thought was Oxford Street, was looking up and down, and I was just like, where do I get a phone charger? And I found this store, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a really popular electrical appliance store, kind of place like JB Hi-Fi in Australia, and it was really interesting because it wasn't so much of a shop. You'd go there and there'd be this computer screen of a touch screen, and you'd have to look for your item on the thing, the touch screen, and then you'd kind of ordered it off there, had to wait in line for ages. I had to wait in line for like 30-40 minutes for this damn thing. And it was interesting though, because I kind of people watched whilst I was there, kind of watching people kind of come and go and see what they were ordering. It was really fun. There was this family that I was behind with kids, and they were just kind of like, I remember the father was like looking at FIFA, the game, and it was just like, I don't know, I just found it interesting to watch his father looking at FIFA, and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get FIFA. And so he picked up the game and bought it with whatever they were buying. I hope he enjoyed FIFA, whatever he got. So that was really fun. And I finally got my charger, and I was just like, okay, I might not even be able to use this damn thing. I was thinking, okay, how am I gonna get back to my hostel if I don't have a dang charger? And I remember where it was visually in my head, but I was worried, like, what if I don't get back? But I got it, and thankfully I pulled off into a nearby Starbucks, lots of nice Starbucks, and I plugged it in and it worked. And I was able to charge my phone up to at least 60% before it stopped working, and I needed to charge the charger, but still, it got me through the day, and I was really happy. Oops. This isn't gonna go so well. But, yeah, so it was just like this really fun day of kind of exploring places I wasn't able to explore. I'm just gonna finish off this job, and we're gonna get a new job, and then I'll tell you more about what happened next. Level 2, sweet. Usually I go for the high value cargo, but for the sake of this let's play, I want to go longer distances, so we've got like longer jobs. Quick job. Oh, this will be a fun job. We're gonna go to Denmark from Grimsby. That will be a really fun job. Okay, so to continue my amazing story, so I finally got my charger. I sat in a Starbucks, had this really nice coffee. That's one thing I really loved about England. So many nice cafes, and so many nice Starbuckses. We don't have Starbucks in Australia. I never used to like Starbucks. I used to hate Starbucks because I had Starbucks in Canada for the first time ever, and I've had it in Hawaii. And maybe it's just an American thing, but Starbucks sucked. The coffees were really poorly made. They tasted really, really awful. So I never liked Starbucks. But then I had Starbucks in Brisbane, because they have Starbucks in Brisbane, in Australia, by the way, if you don't know where Brisbane is. I know Stefanski watches them, and I swear she's from a place called Brisbane, but in America. We had these... I had Starbucks in Brisbane, and I really liked it, because maybe they've made improvements since I first had it in America and Canada, but you can put a lot of things into your coffee as well, and I'm an awful person who just shoves a lot of caramel into my coffees, and so yeah. Anyway, I was in the Starbucks having a coffee, looking at people watching in this really nice historical place that had probably been shops in for years. It was like this nice... The buildings in London are like really beautiful, and I just kind of enjoyed the view, and I was charging my phone, and then it was just like, okay, I need to meet my friends in Soho very shortly, in about an hour. And I also really, really needed to go to the toilet, so I'm kind of mapping out the place, kind of using Google Maps, but I kind of was enjoying the fact that I could use like street signs to navigate my way around. So I was kind of trying to get myself to Soho based off street signs and vague Google Maps directions. And I really need to go to the toilet, so I just needed to find a toilet really badly. The problem is I found the actual Oxford Street, and the toilets had really long lines, and you had to pay to get into some toilets. Like, you'd have like 10 people lining up to just use the bathroom in a place to play, because if it's Oxford Street, it's the most popular street in London kind of thing, so the chances of ever getting a toilet is, first of all, I didn't want to wait in line. Secondly, I have this bladder thing where it's a common thing where it's just like, if you know someone's waiting for you in the toilet, or like if you like need to use the toilet and someone else is in the room, you can't you can't go to the toilet basically. So I needed to find a private toilet where no one else was, and you know, so I kind of thought, okay, I need to find, first of all, I need to find a business that isn't like swarmed by 10 people waiting in line. So I start going down a couple of side streets as a detour. As well, I also needed to, so I kind of go through a few weird streets. I found this really fun park where there was a lot of homeless people there, which was kind of sad to see, but I guess England has a bit of a homeless thing because there's a lot of housing crisis issues, and yeah, thanks Tories. Oh god, oh jeez. Sorry, I forgot that you kind of have to slow down around these things. Anyway, but like they were kind of like playing table tennis, and like there was all these like fun little games that were there at this park, like, and there was like people, because you can, or I don't think it's legal, but people do it anyway. A lot of people drink on the street, so there was all these people, like just drunk people just having fun. It was almost like a mini party I'd discovered in this really tiny park on this really obscure side street, and it was like a very pretty park as well, despite being so small. And you know, I kind of just sat there for a while to kind of take in the view a little, and just watching people just do this thing. There was this homeless guy just kind of wandering around the different table tennis things. He was Scottish, had this thick Scottish accent, and he was just talking to them. I don't remember what about, but you know, he was just asking them about their day and whatnot, and asking them just general questions about the thing, and it was just really fun to listen into. I really liked that. It was just such a vibrant thing to kind of look at. Just, yeah, I really loved it. Anyway, I kind of finished, decided I probably should get a move on, and I was just like, where do I find a toilet? Went into a few little businesses here and there that I could, you know, see if there was a toilet. There wasn't any in many places. Then I found this like little Korean, South Korean ice cream place, which was really, really fun. Had nice cakes, all that kind of stuff, sweets. Like, it was, you know, there was a lot of things I'd never even heard of. So I bought this weird little green tiny cake thing. It was okay. It was tasty. I really enjoyed it. And then I kind of had that, looked around and noticed that there was a little downstairs area that I could go down. So I kind of snuck downstairs. It just led to another part of the cafe, a downstairs part where people were sitting and talking, all Korean people speaking in Korean. That was really interesting. I found a bathroom finally, and so I snuck in, had a bath, not a bath, I went to the toilet and then left. It was just kind of fun to just have self-discovery, or just discover a bathroom just in the middle of nowhere. And so I left and kept exploring the streets, and then I remembered that I needed to get my girlfriend makeup, because I couldn't find it on Oxford Street. That I did go down Oxford Street, look for some makeup that my girlfriend really, really wanted, and so I just keep going, and by luck I run into the exact store that she's looking for, and they didn't have it in Oxford Street in those specific stores, like a chemist that has lots of makeup, not a Priceline, I can't remember the name of it, it's blue though. And so I go in, and lo and behold, it's there. So I bought it and left. And once again, by pure luck, I ran into the same friend on that same obscure street that I ran into before I went to the BFI with. He'd just finished his play and was heading to the same place I was going to. So that was just like, you know, that's just a pure coincidence again. That was really fun. And yeah, we met up with our friends and had really, really bad fish and chips for dinner. So that wasn't fun. So yeah, that was my adventures in London. Like, that was my favorite day whilst I was in London, because the rest of the trip I didn't like as much, simply because I didn't get to explore as much. I was kind of like, that was the only day on the trip, I'd say, where I kind of went on my own to do stuff, to kind of explore. On other days I was kind of just with friends constantly, which was fun in its own way, but it lacked that exploration. And my friends kind of kept going to the same really overpriced pubs for dinner, although we did discover this really, really nice Italian restaurant in Bloomsbury. If you live in London, let me know. It's kind of right by the National Museum thing, the the museum that has all the historical items there, um, like the Rosetta Stone and whatnot. It's just around the corner from there. It's a really nice Italian restaurant, and I've never like it's the best, some of the best pasta I've had. So you know, if you are ever in London, let me know because I'll tell you where it is. There's also a really good bookstore across the road that I went and bought Dracula from because I needed it for English, the subject I was doing at the time. Oh God, what the heck was that? Okay, I gotta be really careful. So yeah, that was London. Oh, look at that castle over there. Yeah, because I love. I'm really okay. I really loved this study tour, but I'm also like really sad because my favorite history teacher, this guy called Gareth, at least in terms of lectures, his lectures are really like fun to go to because he's like really passionate. He's Welsh. He's just like got this really rich sounding voice, and he's just like, yeah, history. And he taught the medieval history subject because he loves medieval history, and he decided that next year probably wants to do a study tour to the UK to do, you know, look at castles and whatnot. And that's just like, the Shakespeare one was okay, but like I'd rather look at castles, and I'm really upset because it's just like, oh damn, I really would have preferred that study tour over the dang one we went to, because the teacher who took us there, she was she had all these tours for us planned, and then on the tours that we did, she just smoked the entire time and not really explain too much of what we were looking at. So you know, that wasn't fun. It just kind of like, oh yay, paid $3,000 for this course and you're smoking. Okay, I'm a little bit stuck. Okay, here we go. That was... Oh, we're gonna get stuck again, aren't we? Yeah, there's not much to say about Stratford-upon-Avon. The town... If you don't know what Stratford-upon-Avon is, it's the town that William Shakespeare was born in. And, you know, it's still very historically preserved. If you look at a map of it from Shakespeare's time, the town hasn't changed an inch since Shakespeare lived there. And there's like a lot of beautiful places, like the Holy Trinity Church is really beautiful. And if you go to Anne Hathaway's cottage, there's this nice scenic walk you can take to get there, and I'd really recommend it. You know, we cut through like forests, and you know, there'd be like, we'd walk through this big field or park, that kind of field, and like there was all these children coming home from school, and it was just kind of neat. And like it was the whole place was damn scenic, and like I remember because I used for my phone I used Tesco credit to a Tesco disposable SIM card, and I remember I needed to top up in data, but the problem with Stratford-upon-Avon is there weren't any local Tesco's except for this one that was just sort of outside of town, so I had to kind of walk just outside of town to get there. It wasn't just outside of town, like there were a lot of houses, but it wasn't anywhere close to where I needed to be in terms of what's it called, it wasn't anywhere where I needed to be, like it was kind of like 20 minutes outside of where all the central Stratford-upon-Avon was. So but the walk there was just like the most scenic walk I'd ever had. You know, I like to walk there. I kind of went over this nice medieval bridge, looked at this nice medieval water. It was just, it was like the most photogenic walk I'd ever had, and I bought a bunch of Kit Kats and started taking pictures of my Kit Kats and scenic places. And then a goose walked up to me and honked at me, probably because it wanted my Kit Kat. I guess one bad thing about Stratford-upon-Avon is there's lots of gooses there, and the gooses are like really scary, like the most scariest gooses I've ever seen. Like they're really big gooses, and they kind of like honked at you a lot, and you know, there's nothing good about getting honked at by a goose. Anyway, I've kind of drove around in circles because the map's confusing, but I've just noticed that we have to catch a ferry to Denmark. I haven't been to Denmark in this game yet, so this will be really interesting. It's part of the Scandinavian DLC. So, you know, all the DLCs for this game are, like, so much better than the actual game, which is, like, kind of sad.